Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to watch this video. Today I want to show you guys how to repair an iPad. So this iPad has been damaged. It's an iPad 3. It has broken glass. We're going to go ahead and replace the glass. A few things that I want to talk about that you're going to need are going to be some of the tools. So we're going to need a flat iFixit or iSeamless tool. We're going to need a little black stick. We will need some pliers at some point during this repair. We're going to need a small screwdriver. I use a PH00 for this repair. And then we're going to need some guitar picks, a heat gun, and then possibly a flathead and a really small hammer. I'll talk and explain that if I decide to use one of those during this repair. So first things first, we need to actually get the glass removed. In order to do that, we would actually take the heat gun. I'm going to heat it up to about 600 degrees or so approximately, and then I'm going to go ahead and start warming up the glass so we can loosen the adhesive. It's really important to take your time during this repair. A repair, even at my level, and I've done hundreds of these things at this point, I move very slowly. There's no point in rushing this because other damaged components are either going to cost me money or they're going to cost my customer more money. So by heating up and just working really slow, I'll be able to effectively get the glass off without damaging any other components and taking my time. The first thing that you're going to do is take your heat gun and you're going to heat up, and I always start on this right side. There's a couple of really important components to know to look for before you even start taking a tool to this. First and foremost, if this were an iPad 2, it would actually have a exposed cable up here. The iPad 3s have a metal bracket, so it's fairly safe. You do just want to be really careful when you get to this top corner up here, because there's a loop that comes around for the power button flex cable, and if you nick that with your tool as you're coming up and around breaking the adhesive, you're actually going to cut that, and then you're going to have to replace the entire power button flex cable that wraps down and around for this side. So we don't want to do that. We want to be careful when we get up to this corner. The rest of this side can be fairly easy, and there's really nothing over there that's dangerous as long as you don't get the tool too far in. We don't want to hit the actual LCD. We just want to stay in the white area where the adhesive is actually going to be. As far as the home button is concerned, if this were an iPad 4, you have to be careful for the home button cable. These generations, the 2 and 3, you don't have to worry about it because the power button is just a bracket on the back side of the glass. The Digitizer lays in, and an actual button fits into a bracket, and that's how the connection works. On an iPad 4, it has a home button flex cable, which connects to the home button, goes horizontally, loops a couple times, and then plugs into the logic board. So when you actually remove the glass, you have a cable that's connecting the home button to the logic board. You have to be very, very, very careful working this area if this were an iPad 4. You also have a cable on this side, which is the Digitizer. The Digitizer is basically the glass. It digitally enhances where your touch signatures go, and it tells the logic board where you're actually touching it on the screen, and that's how the touch works. It's called the Digitizer. So there's a cable that's lined along the side of the glass that's also plugged into the logic board. Now, because we're replacing the Digitizer, that cable is not as pertinent to pay attention to, but you don't want to actually be jarring and pulling on this cable because it can damage other componentry. So we're going to actually start on this side, work the adhesive up, come up here. Because it's an iPad 3, I know there's a metal bracket, so I will be okay. Get to this corner, I'm going to be very careful to make sure that I come around that little looped area for the power button flex. I'm going to work along the top side of the camera, along this left side down, and I'm going to be careful when I get to this point again because of that flex cable. Even though I'm going to cut it, I don't want it to be pulling on any other componentry on the inside and harming it. The other thing that we have to be careful of is that this is an actual CDMA version. So not only can this iPad be linked to your Wi-Fi, but you can actually put it on. You can actually put it on a data plan with the cell phone provider. I know that because this is basically the CDMA antenna right here. It's black. If it were a Wi-Fi, it would be completely aluminum all the way across the top. This is plastic. So when we're heating up the top, we have to be very, very careful to not melt this. To save you guys some time, I'm going to go ahead and start this process. Again, I'm going to heat this side up. I'm going to get it started with my tool. I'm going to work my way up, come around. I'm going to get the glass going, and then we'll pick it up from there. Okay, so I wanted to point something else out before we get going too far along here, and that's the cable right here. I did forget to mention that to you guys. It's just kind of habit for me to do these things. So I removed a little piece of glass just so we can show you this one as well. There's a very fine cable, sticks to the bottom part of the glass right here. You just want to be careful of that cable as well. So when you get your tool in here and you work this corner, once you break the adhesive, throw a guitar pick in it, and then you start to move up. I just wanted to pop this little piece of glass off so we could show you this cable, because you're really going to want to be careful for that one as well. It sticks to the top of the glass. So what I always do is I get my tool in, I work it a little bit this way, I heat it up again, I get my tool under here, and then I very slowly just move it along to break that adhesive from the cable. If you go this direction, you'll end up cutting the cable. If you heat it up and you come this way, you can actually help the cable lay flat and just roll your tool all the way across it in order to break that seal. So I'm going to go ahead and finish up just heating and working my way up and around, and we'll pick it up from there. Alright guys, so we've been able to go ahead and take our tool, heat up the adhesive, work our way all the way around. We avoided this corner where that loop is, just to be careful. We were careful about this cable, and as you can see, there's really no other cables or exposures. We were very careful with the heat up here not to melt anything, and we came along this side and we've got the panel off in one piece, with a few exceptions where it was really shattered down here in the corner. And now we're going to go ahead and cut this digitizer cable. It really doesn't make a difference if you cut this, because we're going to be replacing the digitizer anyways. So we're just going to cut that off, get the glass piece out of the way, and now we can start actually removing the LCD. You'll do that by removing the 4 screws in each corner, and then you can gently lift it up, and over here you can unplug it from the logic board and then set it aside so you don't scratch it. So we'll go ahead and do that now. Use your black stick if you have one, so it's plastic, so you don't harm any components that are inside this actual iPad, or shock anything on the actual logic board. So as you can see, we'll peel it back. There's going to be a piece of tape. We're going to peel back this piece of tape. Get our glue underneath. And then now slide the cable out. And as you can see, now we have our LCD panel replaced. Now before we go ahead and just throw on the new glass, you want to make sure that our glass is actually going to lay flat. So down here in this corner, you can see this corner is damaged pretty bad. So a brand new piece of glass is not actually going to lay flat. So what I'm actually going to do is take off this bezel. We're going to replace the bezel as well as the glass. The bezel is this white framing that sits on the outside. So we'll just get this up. This bezel's ruined anyways. It would need to be replaced. So we're just going to peel that off. I'm going to get a new one. Now if the bezel wasn't as damaged, I'll probably just use the same bezel. But as you can see, this corner is really, really damaged. And so what I'm actually going to do, that's why I was talking about taking my little chisel, and I'll probably take this chisel, line it up in this corner, and tap it out with my hammer. This one's so bad that I actually might Dremel it out. So I'm probably going to Dremel this out to smooth it because it's so badly damaged that even if I straighten this, the edges are going to be too rough and it's probably going to break the glass, or it's probably going to end up cutting someone. So I'm going to Dremel that out and smooth it, and I'm going to check the rest of the framing all the way around to make sure that this glass will lay flat. Up here I've got another little kink. So this one I'll be able to just tap out with my chisel. This one I'm going to Dremel out. Then I'm going to put a new bezel in, and then I'm going to use a piece of glass as a test fitment. Once the test glass fits perfectly and I inspect it all the way around the edges and it's going to look good, then we'll go ahead and connect the new piece of glass with the new Digitizer cable, which this is the old one, and then we'll be able to reassemble it. So we'll go ahead and get to that now. Alright guys, welcome back. So right now, basically what we've done is take off the glass, take out the LCD, and then we had to rework this corner. I don't know if you can tell or not. This corner was damaged pretty badly. So I went and actually Dremeled this down so it's all nice and smooth. And now as you can see, I put the new bezel in, and this is my test glass. So I've gone around and I made sure that everything fits absolutely precise. If you put your new bezel in, and if the new bezel fits the frame pretty good without any bends, or if it's not bubbling up anywhere, chances are your glass is going to fit pretty well also. But now I've used a test piece of glass. I know it absolutely fits this perfect. So when I go to throw my new piece of glass on, I'll know that it's going to fit and that I don't need to rework any of these edges. So then the next thing that I actually need to do is take my glass. You're going to lay it down, put your Digitizer cable in, reassemble your LCD, peel your adhesive that's going to come off of your new glass, and then you're going to lay the glass in like so. So we'll go ahead and do that now. Okay guys, so now we're on the final home stretch. So like we've talked about, we've removed the glass, we've worked our way up with the heat gun, slowly with our tool. We've completely removed the glass, we've cut the Digitizer cable, we've taken out the 4 screws for the LCD, we took that glass out. We went ahead and cleaned up the frame, took off any remaining glass particles or any remaining adhesive that's going to get in the way. We removed the bezel, we grinded down the corner, smoothed it all out. We worked that kink in the top corner, we put a new bezel in, and we used our test piece of glass to make sure that the glass will lay nice and perfect. So now this is the new piece of glass that we're going to go ahead and install. We laid it down, plugged the Digitizer cable into the logic board, made sure we closed the little black clamps on the logic board. We've reattached the LCD, clamped that back down, laid the LCD in, screwed the LCD in. Now we're going to go ahead and fit the glass down. So all I'm going to do is, because I know it's going to fit absolutely precise because of our test piece, I'm going to just remove the adhesive strips, lay it down, make sure that this cable bends inward so that the glass again will lay nice and flat in this corner, and we'll be good to go. The last thing that you're going to want to do is just make sure that your LCD is clean, you don't have any particles on it, because once you lay this glass down, you're not going to be able to get it up without most likely damaging it. So make sure your LCD is clean and make sure you test it. Just make sure that your device does in fact turn on, and we can see here that my Digitizer is working. Goes ahead and it unlocks it. And so we're good to go now. We know the Digitizer works, we know the LCD works, we know the install will be successful. So we're going to go ahead and lay this down, pull the adhesive, and go from there. I, in fact, am actually going to lay a tiny bit of white silicone right on this side, because I want this tiny little gap where we had to grind down the corner from that really bad ding. I want that to actually fill in a little bit. So we're going to go ahead and do that now. So now we have the actual glass just about completely sealed. Like I was saying, in this corner where the Digitizer is, just make sure you push the cable in so that the bend is heading towards the middle. Once we go ahead and have done that, we can finish sealing it all the way around, like so. The last thing that I'll typically do with these is I have some clamps that I bought, and I'll go ahead and just heat this up a little bit to kind of get the adhesive sticky, and then I'm going to clamp it on each corner and let it sit for several hours. Once that's done, this iPad repair is now complete, and as you can see, everything works just fine on it. Thanks for watching this video, guys. Please like it, share it, let me know if you have any questions or there's any other tutorial videos that I can make for you. Thanks, guys. Bye.